How ye be? I want to let you know I'm going to be offering a free little workshop this upcoming Friday, March 22nd at 4 p.m. Eastern. Friday, March 22nd, 4 p.m. Eastern. This workshop / seminar, I'm going to just talk about different things we can do to help ground ourselves, grounding practices. Generally like meditational type of practices to just make us feel more grounded, more present. If you're familiar with my work, my approach, this is a huge part of it, is exploring and figuring out for each one of us what helps us feel present and inwardly, okay, relaxed, if you want to use that word. But basically inwardly okay, effectively. Like, how can we ground ourselves in that way? How can we identify things that work for us? And how can we more easily do it in our everyday life? Because if we can figure out ways to more easily feel okay in the present moment more of the time, first of all, we're going to feel okay and feel better in our everyday life. And secondly, we're probably going to see gradually our external life improve as well. Very important, I think, and very under-discussed. So the workshop will be Friday. And if you have any questions, you can email me. If you're not on my mailing list and you want to join us for the workshop, you can email me, or I will put the my newsletter sign up webpage below. You can sign up for that and get the Zoom link as well. So yeah, as we've been discussing a lot, these various ideas to feel better and to manifest a better life are often portrayed in a one-size-fits-all type of way, when the reality is, at least I think, that for most of us, it just doesn't work like that. There's all these really cool strategies and theories and methods that we can utilize. But the key is figuring out, especially once we're familiar with, the various popular methods, the key is figuring out what actually is going to work for me. For instance, like, what's going to help ground me? What's going to help make me feel more present more of the time? And something else we were discussing, I think a couple of weeks ago, is this idea of, like, online you hear people talking about, like, I manifested this, I manifested that a lot. And those stories can sometimes be illustrative, obviously, to hear, like, I manifested X amount of dollars in such amount of time, or, I did this and then, manifested, my health back, or a romantic partner, or the job I wanted, etc. It can be illustrative to hear these stories, obviously, and inspiring. That's all good. The problem is, too often, it seems like ego stroking on the behalf of the person sharing the story. And this can creep up on us when we talk too much about our personal life. And you see so many of the great manifesting teachers of, like, the last 100 years talking about how impersonal this process often is. How it's like, it's not like you did it. It's like God did it, if you want to use a religious term, as most of these LOA teachers usually do. They say God did it, or the universe did it, right? Emile Coué, using more secular terms, would say your imagination did it. Your subconscious took over, your unconscious took over and did it. Figured out a way. So it's not like me, Tim, did it. Right? It's like I got out of the way and it happened. And it's the same for you, at least in all likelihood most of the time. Lester Levinson's got this great line. I'll paraphrase. He says, like, he goes like, I, Lester, have never like demonstrated or manifested anything. He said, but when I get out of the way, I'm always amazed at what demonstrates. It's like getting out of the way, making it impersonal, not personal. It's not about you as the individual, not about, hey, here I am. Hey, I manifested this. And again, I'm not saying that doesn't work sometimes, but like in general, especially if we're looking at this from any type of spiritual angle, it's like, no, you let go and like God, right? Or like you pass it off to the universe. And again, such a subjective practice. And it's going to come about in different ways, this how impersonal it is, depending on who we are. And we just have to be gentle with ourselves and figure that out. How we can get out of our own way. Because I found in my home life, for me, getting out of my own way is often the hardest part of, getting things to change in my life. And I think it probably is for a lot of people watching this video. So I thought I would read from a great little book. We've read from it before. I'll put a link above to a podcast episode I did about it somewhat recently. Last year, I think. The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. Small little book, great book. Price was definitely influenced a lot by Joel Goldsmith. But this is a great book. And the 40-day prosperity plan included in it is something that a lot of people have really liked and had success with. I've worked with several clients who've, had a lot of success following the 40-day prosperity plan. So that's something I suggest people check out if it interests them. But what intrigued me about the passage I'm going to read today, because I was reading it again last week, is Price mentions again this impersonality, about how this is an impersonal process. And if we're using spiritual language, which again, we don't have to use spiritual language. We can use the more psychologically sounding language of Coué or Maxwell Maltz or somebody like that. But if we're using spiritual language, and we're talking about how we want to make this not like ego-driven, like Tim manifested that, but like more like impersonal, like, I got out of the way and my life changed. This is a great description of how that comes about. This is Price writing in the 40-day prosperity plan. And he says, you must think of money and any other material desire or possession simply as an outer symbol of the inner supply. I'm going to stop there for 1 second and just say again, he's saying money here, but he says any other desire or possession as well. So it could be, it could be money, it could be a different job, it could be a romantic partner, it could be better health, better relationships with loved ones, whatever it is that you want to manifest. You must think of it simply as an outer symbol of the inner supply. He goes on to say, and the only reality of that symbol is the substance which underlies the outward manifestation. Money is the symbol of an idea in divine mind. Same with, like a loving relationship or good health, etc. The idea is an all-sufficiency of supply to meet every need with a divine surplus in your individual life. As the divine idea comes out into manifestation, it appears as the symbol, money, or a relationship, or, better health. But the money is not the supply. Rather, it is your consciousness of God as your abundance that constitutes your supply. When you try to collect, acquire, and possess the symbol, focusing on the symbol and not the supply within, the outlet for the manifestation closes. Do you want more money, more prosperity in your life? Then shift from a consciousness of effects, materiality, to a consciousness of cause, spirituality. When you give power to an effect, you are giving it your power. You are actually giving the effect power over you. Does money have power? If you say yes, then you have given it your power and you have become the servant. You have reversed the roles. The inner presence, the you of you, is truly the moneymaker. Your thinking, reasoning mind is not. Your only source is the God presence within you. If your mind is on the source, the cause, the supply flows freely. If your mind is on the effect, you block the flow. The more impersonal you become regarding where your money seems to originate, job, salary, commissions, investments, spouse, etc., the more personal you can become in your relationship with the true source of your money, and the closer the relationship to your God self, the greater the abundance in your life. So that's a great passage. Great passage. Very spiritual sounding passage. It's not going to resonate with everybody, but if you like this kind of spiritual language, it's very interesting what he says here, where, Price basically says you want to focus, and again, it doesn't have to be money. This prosperity, could mean better health. It could be better relationships. It could be better work, whatever it is you want. If you're focusing on that outer result, you're not focused on the source, the original source of that result, which is, from within, your supply within you, God within you, your imagination within you, your subconscious mind within you. That's the real source from which your demonstration will come, Price is saying. He says, your only source is the God presence within you. If your mind is on the source, the cause, the supply flows freely. If your mind is on the effect, you block the flow. The more impersonal you become regarding where your money seems to originate, or, your improved health, or your relationship improvements, or your job, the more personal you can become in your relationship with the true source. You focus on God or on the inner abundance you feel within you, in your imagination, your subconscious wealth. You focus on that and you pay attention to it and you relax into that more throughout the day. And externally, that starts to demonstrate more easily in your life. That's what Price and so many of these great manifesting type of teachers are pointing at. Very interesting. But it's impersonal, It's not like, I, Tim, focus on the source. I focus on God within me. It's like, no, I get out of the way and then I realize God was there the whole time. My imagination was here the whole time. That inner sense of abundance was here the whole time. I have to get out of the way to recognize it more clearly. So that's a lot of this work, and being grounded and more present in the moment, and not thinking about what we want outwardly, but focusing on what we have already inwardly, helps us do all of that. And we'll go over that on Friday on the workshop. So I hope you can join us. And if you want to ask me any questions before then, you are welcome to. I can be reached at info@radicalcounselor.com.